Revenue rush, audience royalty. Over the last 25 years, India's media and entertainment industry has changed dramatically. New platforms, new audiences, and new ways to earn and engage. This first business session explores how all those forces come together in today's multi-platform entertainment economy. Our moderator is Ms. Vanita Kohli-Khandekar, senior columnist and one of India's leading media business voices. I welcome you on stage. Good afternoon. Joining her are Mr. Kamal Gianchandani, CEO of PVR INOX Pictures, Mr. Vikram Sakhuja, Group CEO of Madison Media, Mr. Vikram Mehra, Managing Director of Saregama, and Mr. Mahesh Shetty, Head of Revenue Entertainment at JioStar, and Ms. Sweta Jhunjhunwala, Head of Partner Solutions at Google India. Please join me in welcoming Vanita and her distinguished panel in the first business session at FICCI Frames.
Are we good to go? Hello? Yeah? Okay. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I'm sure we're all keeping you from your lunch. Somebody's left their spec.
That's fine.
Okay. Okay. Sam has just stolen our thunder a lot, because one of the things we wanted to bring up was performance versus brand building, and we were discussing it in the speaker's room. But just to quickly set context, and they've cut my time from 40 to 25 minutes, so we are going to get into it quickly. Media consumption is a 24/7 thing we do now. We could be watching a video, talking to friends, having a meeting, watching a show, everything. The ubiquity of the net means that we are consuming media almost every hour of every waking hour. So any company which needs our attention, anything that needs our attention is a media company. A Zomato, to my mind, is also a media company, because Zomato also offers you videos of food. Or Amazon, which wants to sell more shoes and clothes, has Prime Video to ensure that you come onto their site. So strict definitions of media as we knew it 20 years back do not exist anymore. What does it mean to run a media business in this kind of, as I call it, flat or homogenized sort of environment? And I have, I think, one of the most wonderful panels, frankly, because I have everybody from the ecosystem here. Sweta, I'm going to come to you last, because you're the guy, you're the person who looks at this at a 360 view, because you're with Google. But I'm going to start with Kamal, who comes as old world as they get, the theatrical business. Kamal, what does it mean? Because you're fighting for the attention which all of us are vying for, but you're in an experiential business, as Sweta mentioned.
Firstly, thanks for having us here. And cinema, as you know, is a very old platform. You know, we've dealt with technologies. Every decade there has been a new technology and cinema has had to coexist or compete with that technology. So television, when it came out, there were a lot of you know, apprehension about whether cinema would be able to survive television. Then VHS, VCD, DVD, they almost killed the industry, at least in India, because of piracy. Piracy became suddenly so easy. But somehow cinema kept thriving while these new technologies were sort of seeping in and were taking away audience interest and time and wallet share. Internet, of course, the same thing. Like even if you go back to 2019-18, while Netflix, Amazon, Hotstar, all of these platforms were doing extremely well and they were investing a lot of money, time, effort, you know, in creating new sort of space within this market. Cinemas actually ended up having their best year.
It had a record year in
A record year in 2018 and 19. So I think on the demand side, it, you know, is quite clear that the audiences differentiate the theatrical experience. It's the same screen, it's the same video, but the context matters. You know, just being in a dark room with a communal setting, enjoying a film where you don't have an ability to multitask, you know, just being in a passive setting where the story is unfolding, people enjoy that experience. So on demand side, fortunately, at the cost of sounding a little arrogant, I think audiences have been very receptive, very supportive. We've had a challenge on the supply side. We were hit by pandemic and for 2 years, like overnight in March 2020, everything changed for us. You know, from February when we were planning our next sort of, you know, where will we build our next 500 screens, 1,000 screens, suddenly we were down to our knees. 2 years of cinema shut down. Producers had to go to streaming platforms to sell their films because they wanted to stay afloat, understandably so. Our supply side got totally disrupted. And we've taken now post-COVID, first 2 years we were shut down, next 2 years, you know, it's taken time for us to come back to the regular. And it's only now in the last 12, 13 months where we are feeling we are back to the usual. I think your question, what has really changed in this new sort of atmosphere ecosystem? Our windows have changed dramatically.
They got shorter, so your opportunity to make money is
smaller.
reduced.
Like there was a time films would take at least 12 weeks to come on television or any other platform. Now they're out within 8 weeks. And if you go down south, it's even less than 8 weeks. But at the same time, there are also positives. Each time there has been a new technology, producers, the content creators have found another way to slice and dice their film or content and make more revenue out of it, right? For them, it's more money, which strengthens the industry. And that augurs well because that money goes back into making bigger and better films, which is good for theatrical. Premiumization, like we've invested, I mean, we were always investing in new formats, upgrading our softer skills, training our people, but that pace has got accelerated. The tentpole performance of tentpole films, the event films,
has jumped.
What we used to see in 2019, now what we see is 3x of that. And these numbers were, you know, it was difficult to imagine we will see this sort of a jump in such a short period of time. But clearly people are coming out, they've become more selective. And I mean, of course, the mid-level films have suffered a bit, but the big ticket films have gone through the roof. So there are a lot of positives to look at. I'll pause here and let my colleagues also.
I was going to get Vikram and Sweta in separately, but Vikram, I want you to go first because I realized that you might have a hard time.
Okay. Allow me I'll try to make my point by going into history. 40 years back, there was no fragmentation in a manner of speaking. Nirma built its brand by taking one spot on a prime time for 365 spots in a year. They would just take one TV spot and that would build their brand. Likewise, if I went into a newspaper, one insert would be enough because I'd reach, I would go, and even in cinema halls, there'd be the slides at that point in time. Everybody remembered them. So life was quite simple then. We started worrying about fragmentation in the 90s when we suddenly saw, oh my God, it's difficult to reach people. Now that has gone exponentially huge right now as we speak in the 2020s. Where it's coming from right now is people still want to consume entertainment, they want their news, they want perspectives, they want self-expression, they want shopping, they want social media, they want all of the thing. Only thing is, we are all fighting for a share of their time, their attention, and their wallet. These three things are what we are fighting for. Now, the people who are going to succeed are going to be the ones who can differentiate. If an IPL comes as a differentiated product, everybody stops everything, and that still makes it. If a tentpole film comes, people find the time to go there. But so if you need some heavy-duty differentiation, number two, your platform, whatever it is, it brings certain strength. A theater is experience. Your newspaper is definitely a lot of credibility and impact. So anybody, each medium has its role to play. You should know what your strength is and play from that strength. So I think the platforms, from a platform standpoint, you need to be understanding your platform strength. From a content standpoint, you need some differentiation. And from a marketing, from a consumer standpoint, you need to understand your target audiences.
But the first principles, therefore, the first principles apply.
No, absolutely.
Exactly what Sam said.
But there's a hack, because otherwise you can get lost in this entire overly fragmented environment.
I'm going to say Mr. Mehra, because we have to differentiate between Mr. Sakhuja and Mr. Mehra. But again, what has it, and your business, I think music is the lowest bandwidth business, I always say. So it's like the petri dish of the media and entertainment ecosystem. The changes that hit music today will hit all of us tomorrow. What has it meant?
You know, I have a very different take out here. Good, thankfully we are a content company. So technologies come, platforms come, advertising subscription mix keeps on changing. But a hit Lag Ja Gale made money 60 years back and still makes tons of money for us today also. But let me I'll address only one issue right now, which is the demand issue at this juncture. And let me highlight three social trends that make us very, very bullish. One, the GDP of this country is genuinely growing between 6 to 7%. If any of you travel the smaller towns, you'll realize there is a change happening in our country. What happens when people, a middle class or upper middle class starts getting more money in their hand, apart from buying a very fancy television, which means that much more content coming in, people also want experiences. That means more theater, more live events. Because when people have more money in their hand, they want to go out there, spend after taking care of their basic needs on entertainment for themselves and entertainment for their families. So personally, very bullish on content which is going to be running on devices, because everybody wants to buy a fancy device now. Also on experiences, which is theater and the live event business. Second, this huge issue socially, like it's happening now here also. Those of you who are not very keen to listen to what I am saying are all on your phones. And that's how we have become. We can't have even 30 seconds when our mind is not stimulated. We immediately move to a phone. Yes, I know everybody is very busy. Not everybody is getting a crucial WhatsApp message every 30 seconds. But we need stimulation. Many of us secretly even go on Instagram at that particular time while we are in a meeting, because maybe the speaker is not stimulating us enough. That means that much more demand for content. Change number two. Third is a very peculiar phenomena. People always consider digital to be free. That's how at least my generation has grown. Digital never meant that you have to pay for it. If you ask any of 35, 38-year-old parents today and ask them what do their 8, 10-year-old kids want. When we were younger, we wanted money to buy a burger or Coke. When my eldest son was 8, 9-year-old, he wanted money to buy a digital game for their PS2 or 3, whatever was going on that time. Today's kid wants a shield, a sword, right now in a digital game. And parents are ready to pay those 5 and 10 rupees, it's a micro payment, for getting that shield for their kid. This is a massive change. It's telling us that people are ready to pay. We are Indians, we are value seekers. You need to give me a rational justification for my emotional purchase, right? But I am ready to go out there and pay, which gives me the confidence there's money to be made.
But Vikram, it's not showing in the music business. I'm sorry. All the trends you're saying, I don't see the size rising.
It is going to be happening. See, it is in the process. We will take our time. All these changes are happening gradually. I think an amazing job has been done on the video OTT side led by JioStar about how they have been able to prove to all of us that people are ready to go out there and pay for subscription. You will see something similar happening led by YouTube. I think is doing a very good job there. But if I include Spotify and Savans of the world too, I think all of them are going to go and prove to us that people are ready to go out there and pay. But give me a rational justification. If you're going to give everything to me free, I'll not go to pay. You need to put the content behind the paywall. An Indian consumer is ready to pay, provided the money makes sense. This is not a $5 market. This is a $1 per month market.
Inshallah, I hope so. Mahesh,
Yeah, Vanita.
what does it mean for you? You guys are the only force I see coming up with the same size that a Google or a Meta have. What has it meant? I mean, just getting together, I think, was one reaction to the broad question this session raises, that what has the ubiquity of the net, what has it meant for revenues and for monetization? How's it going, combining forces here?
Let me take a step back, Vanita,
Yeah.
and I think, see, the starting point of...
Hold it close, hold it.
Can you hear me? I think the starting point of this entire business that we run is content. And the basics of content continue to be the same. We run a very powerful, broadcast business, and today we run a very powerful OTT business. And when we see content consumption, today one of the biggest shows on broadcast TV is Anupama. That continues to be one of the biggest show on OTT platform also. So the core, which is that consumers go choose content that they love and on a platform which is the most convenient to them. And I think that is the core on which our entire proposition is. Yeah. And so as far as monetization goes, I think brands look for reach, and I think that is something that we've delivered, be it on television or on OTT. And very often there is this question that comes that, hey, is television dead? Are people cutting the cord? And I think India is a large country, very different set of consumers. So at the top of it, you have the premium consumers who have moved to OTT or have moved from linear to, say, a connected TV. As far as you are able to provide content that they love, they've been be it global content. Like today, a South Bombay family looking for global content on our platform. We have the best lineup of the top 4 studio content, around 400 plus Emmy Award winning shows. Or at the same time, the middle of India, which kind of looks for everyday daily soaps. I mean, that is something that we go give on linear as well as on connected TV. Or the bottom of India, which we actually serve through our free TV networks. Okay, and I think consumers primarily chase content, and that is what we serve through great different screens, which is the most convenient to them. Advertisers are chasing the consumer, and we give the whole hog, be it large screen or small screen. And I would say even when consumers are moving from linear to digital, as far as the large screen is concerned, which is the television screen, I think today Jio Hotstar is almost equal to CTV, or CTV is equal to Jio Hotstar because of kind of content, long form content that we actually provide. I think when you look at overall content consumption throughout the day, because just like Vikram said, people are scrolling on the phone. I think that need is very different from long form content need, and we primarily deliver professionally generated content which has great amount of attention. So from an advertiser benefit standpoint also, when what Sam spoke about, the importance of branding, when brands are looking at building themselves in this country, our platforms become very strong pillars for them to grow, and that is on the back of the reach that we provide, the strength of professionally generated content, and the kind of attention we are able to provide to these brands.
points taken, but it's at odds with what a lot of what I see is performative investment. And I'm going to come to Sweta for the broader question. But I had a chat with somebody from Godrej recently, and they're the third largest advertiser in this country. 95%, they spent 1,000, 1,020 crore on advertising last year. 95% of their spends are on the large screen. They believe very strongly that they need to build brands. They say कि साबुन तो कोई भी बना लेगा, we create brands, and when we, like they bought, I think, Park Avenue and a whole lot of, when we buy brands. When we sell them, we sell brands. So that's the core of our business. But Sweta, coming to you, you represent publisher interests as far, and you look at publishers, it's genre agnostic, medium agnostic. So a publisher could be an India Today, a publisher could be a Zomato, a publisher could be a Business Standard. What's the view like from where you sit?
Sure. I think my view would be slightly different from the panel here, which is interesting. So I think two big things that we are seeing change, right? So you spoke about homogenization that's happening. So honestly, the competition today is global, but so is the opportunity, honestly. So that's the way to look at it. Today, a consumer is probably watching a Korean drama on Netflix, is watching a Brazilian gaming creator on YouTube, and our Indian media companies are competing with this, right? If you look at any trends are also now really global, and technology has sort of ensured that now everyone has access, right? So let's take, for example, like a big change that we're seeing, like microdrama, right? A whole new vertical that came out of China a couple of years back. By the way, just in terms of stats, what I hear is, I think in the next 3 to 5 years, in terms of revenue alone, microdrama in China is likely to beat box office revenues.
It will cross box
That's
office
how,
revenues this
yes,
year.
probably.
This year.
That's how large, like.
Yeah.
And
7 billion.
India today has 125 million downloads of microdrama, and we're seeing all the large players now invest into this. So if you're seeing, that's the opportunity. It's a global opportunity today. It's not just the competition. And that's what we're seeing our publishers do. A lot of our publishers, medium-sized publishers, they're not looking at just Indian audiences. They're looking at global. You might build content for Bharat, but there is an audience sitting outside. There are publishers who are building creative content which is specific to markets outside of India. Take, for example, a Pocket FM, right? Audio platform built out of India makes a large percentage of their money today coming from US. That's the kind of change we are seeing, right? That it's very borderless today, and technology is making that available. So there is where I would say we sort of come in, and to a large extent we'll work with our publishers to ensure that we're helping you go to those markets, helping you sitting out of Delhi, finding an advertiser in London who wants to buy your platform. Technology today can make that available. So that's one big change that we see. The other one, I think, just in terms of advertising, because that's where I sort of spend most of my years, is that a large part of our advertisers today don't just want to buy a container. So they don't want to just buy a 30-minute episode, right? What they want to buy is a moment. And what you can do today is really create moments. And what do we mean by a moment, right? You really create a product based on your audience. So we spoke about that, like a 25 to 40 male audience that buys SUVs is way more valuable for an advertiser than just somebody who's watching a 30-minute episode. You create that based on context. An IPL, I'm sure, like a final match of an IPL is a very different product from anything else that you watch on TV. And then again, you also price based on, or create a product based on format. Sam spoke about it, a lot of us spoke about it, right? Connected TV. The kind of formats that we are seeing on connected TV today, they're a lot more engaging, they're a lot more intuitive, they're a lot lesser, what we used to call as breaking the flow of content. And that's the kind of changes that we're seeing in the advertising payout, and that's what advertisers are interested to pay for. So those are the two big changes that we see.
Where does brand building come? I know my time is up, but this question I want to throw to the whole. Where does brand building come in this, again, flat world as I call it, or homogenized world? Because Sam mentioned it, and Vikram and we were talking about it. Because in a cinema experience I can understand, or where does it, because if the advertiser is so focused on, isme ROI kya hai? if the ROI is only measured in terms of views, how does it work?
I can give like a view, but I think Vikram, you're best suited to answer this. But honestly, advertisers care about business outcome. Now that outcome doesn't have to necessarily be a view, right? That outcome will be different when you have a brand. For example, if there is an outcome that you're looking at right at the initial stage when you're setting up, your business versus where you are, it really depends upon the life journey. But at the end of the day, whether it is a brand campaign or a performance campaign, there is a business outcome that we are looking at. And I think Vikram will have a stronger point of view on this. But broadly, the metrics, it's not about a metrics game. It's about a business outcome. And the metrics will differ. And because the native currency is very different, right? A view on YouTube is very different from a PVR ad that I see when I walk in there.
I completely agree with what Sweta said, and I'll build on that. Look, the days of spray and pray are over. You can't just say, Ram Bharose, I'm just putting out an ad and my brand is being built. Somewhere along the line, I think there are three things, at least that we believe in any kind of branding, that you're trying to, outcomes that you're trying to achieve. You're trying to grab attention. You're trying to build memory structures, or I'd call equity. So if I say 2 minutes, you'll say Maggie. Now, why did you say 2 minutes, Maggie? Somewhere along the line, it has been built up and an equity has been built. Or if I do ting, 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 you need maybe Britannia. So why is that? Somebody has created these equities, they've created memory structures. So there's attention, there's memory, and there's response. And I think the minute you start thinking of it, I think response is something that performance marketing has done a fabulous job of, and that's why the hockey stick happened. Because you could measure the final downloads or walk-ins or whatever else it was. The part which I think is going to be the next big thing is going to be how you impact the mind measures. As we look at data and look at signals and all those things, now for example, Meta has announced the super intelligence labs. I'm very excited about that. Now, so somewhere if they actually apply their mind on seeing mind measures, not vanilla brand lift studies, something way deeper in terms of how mind measures work, how attention grows, how your entire memory structures work. If that happens, then you hit the holy grail.
Somebody has to spend on that research. But you know what? One of the last points, and a lot of this new media ecosystem is very ad dependent. I don't see pay revenues having that much uptick yet. And I think it sort of brings a different set. For example, for a Saregama, you mentioned subscription. In the case of films is a totally pay-driven business. It gets a bulk of its revenues from pay.
But advertising is very important for cinemas.
No, see, subscription for a content company, it doesn't matter whether my partner is making money from advertising or subscription. We make money irrespective, right? But we actually are seeing green shoots of subscription in our country. Remember, it's a 1.4 billion number. Even if 100 million people decide they're ready to pay $1 each, it's a large enough, substantial enough number right now, at least for the music industry. And if people are ready to pay $3 to $4 and there's 300 million people doing it, it's a large. JioStar is telling us it can be done. So we need to believe right now, people have done it in the past. They may have done it for IPL.
I want to see JioStar's IPL results. Kevin, please release the numbers on revenue. Sorry, yeah, Mahesh.
I said there are 2 JioStar representatives over here.
I think you guys have done a fabulous job.
Okay, this screen is, it's very unfair. Our time's been cut and we barely covered 2 questions. So, but that's it. It's a fantastic panel. Thank you, guys. We'll continue this. Thank you so much, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together in a show of appreciation for the moderator and the panelists of this first business session at FICCI Frames 2025. I am going to request you all to settle down, take your seats. We have another session coming up immediately after this. We have Ayushman